Welcome to Dee's Kitchen Lab. Today we're going to make corn tortillas from scratch, and they're really delicious and super fun to make and easy. Can I mention easy? So I'm going to start with a small batch. So this is masa harina. So we're going to just do 1 cup. And this is from Bob's Red Mill. Masa harina, it's already been, the corn kernels have already been cooked, unlike cornmeal. So you have to use masa harina. You can't use cornmeal or polenta for this. There's also another brand, Maseca, I think it's called, and that's very popular too. Okay, now we need a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Add that in there for a little flavor, and we could whisk that up a little, or not. Then I need 3/4 to 1 cup of hot water. I'm just gonna put this in my, not too hot that you can't mix the dough. So we're gonna start with just a small amount. Okay, so we need a little bit more. I don't want to do, I'm aiming for 3/4 of a cup total, which means I would leave 1/4 cup left in my measuring cup. Smells really corny and delicious, like roasted corn on the cob. I need to put another 1/4 cup in there. And so what we're aiming for is a Play-Doh-like consistency. Even though this is a little bit sticky, I'm going to add a little more water so that I get to that 3/4 of a cup, because this has to rest for, I mean, you can rest it probably for 2 hours, but the resting time that Bob's Red Mill suggests is 1 hour. Some people just rest it for about 20 minutes. Although this masa harina does not have any gluten in it, and you don't have to develop gluten by kneading it, I noticed that all of the people who were on YouTube were kneading their masa harina dough for a good 5 minutes. So I suspect that this, besides thoroughly hydrating the dough, that I think that adds a little air to the mixture. And what we want to have when we cook the tortillas is we want them to puff up. So I'm just going to continue kneading this for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes of kneading have gone by. When you form it into a ball, it is more like Play-Doh consistency. Now I'm going to take off pinch off a little bit and roll it into a ball. And when you squeeze the ball, it holds together, the edges hold together. They don't split. And if the edges are all splitting, it's too dry. So I think this is just about perfect from my vast experience of making this 3 times. And then I'm going to just leave this in the bowl to rest. Okay, I wet the paper towel and wrung it out. So we're just gonna cover that and set that aside for about an hour. That's all there is to it. Okay, in the meantime, I've got my daughter Devin, who's gonna help me cook, and my grandson Alex, who's going to be our principal taste tester.
Yep.
Yep, good. All right. So it's been about an hour since we made the dough, and here it is. And we're going to, let me just give you about half of that. So we're going to form this into balls, and we're going to press them out, because I don't have a tortilla press, but I do have pie plates. Serve them out using a pie plate. And we're going to use a regular freezer weight Ziploc bag so they don't tear. And I'm going to cut off all of the sides, because that's easier. What do you think, Alex? Do you think that sounds easy?
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Deb?
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Cutting off the a zipper is definitely a good idea.
Oh, thanks. So we're gonna just knead this a little bit. And then we're going to pull off a couple pieces of this. So we're gonna do 6 out of this 1 cup of masa harina. So let's make them all about the same. As long as they're about the same, that's fine. So we're gonna put these back in here and cover them up so they don't dry. Now, in the meantime, I saw a lot of people take the balls and fold them over. So it's just like a final kneading. So we're just gonna do that. I don't know if this incorporates more air in there or not, but since everybody was doing it, I recommend doing that too. And when I made them and didn't do it, they didn't puff up. And when I did, they did puff up. Okay, so now we've got our ball. We're gonna open this up. We're gonna press this down a little bit. Okay, with your hand. And
stuck.
Okay. Now you're going to take your pie plate, and I had a gymnastics injury, so she's got on crutches, but that's off screen, so she's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little harder for her. Okay, so we're going to put this on top, and let's do a close-up of what this looks like. Press out our tortillas.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to press down and kind of rock so that it's even.
Yeah,
so I
it's
kind
bigger.
of am just pressing down with a little bit of pressure, and our goal is to get them to be about 6 inches. This is like 5.5, and yours is not going to be as big as mine because your dough is a little bit smaller. We don't want so let's measure. So perfect, 5.5. And mine's 6 because I had a little bit bigger dough. So we're only gonna do 1 at a time. So I'm gonna show you this one, and then you can do the next one.
That looks nice.
So then you just peel that off. And that's why I liked, and then we're going to peel this off this way. So now I'm gonna move over here, and I'm going to grease my griddle that I have over here very minimally with a little bit of olive oil. And I'm just gonna wipe that off so it's not swimming in olive oil. Okay, that is definitely too hot.
Yeah.
So you don't want the water to evaporate immediately. You want it to like dance on this griddle for a minute. So we're gonna let that cool off for just a minute. All right, so we're just going to hold it like this, peel this back. I put a little oil in here. So I'm gonna start on this one, and I'm just going to lay it down like that. And we're gonna let that cook for about 30 seconds. So now you can see that the tortilla has changed color a little bit. It was a lighter yellow, and now it's a little bit darker yellow, so it's starting to cook on the bottom. So I'm going to take that and flip that over. And because I have a 2-level, I have the heat a little bit higher on this side. And we're gonna let that cook for also another 30 seconds or so. All right, so it's been about 30 seconds. I'm gonna press down on here, and it should puff up a little bit. Not puffing up yet. It puffed up the last time. All right, so I'm just gonna flip that, whoops. I'm gonna flip that over, and we'll see if this is gonna puff up at all. Yes, it's starting to puff. Okay, so we're gonna let that puff up and brown just a little bit. You can start a little production if you have a griddle like I do, or you can just do them 1 at a time, or you could use 2 pans. All right, so you wanted to put yours on here, Deb? So you're gonna peel that off slowly. And instead of flipping it on like this, you're gonna take your hand out so it's gonna be on the same side.
So
Yep.
like that.
That's fine. So you wanna regulate your heat so that it's gonna get a few brown spots on it. But if it has black spots immediately, then it's too high. So the next step is we're going to take this off now that we've got a little bit. Now the heat is higher, it'll get dark, it'll get some spots on it faster. But we're gonna put it in here in my tea towel, and we're gonna cover that up. And what that does is that it's going to steam that. So the steaming is the final cooking of it. Okay, and that is gonna make them nice and pliable, keeps them warm, and it also steams them away. So we're just gonna rock that a little bit, press down. You don't have to press down really hard either. These are gonna be thicker than the commercial tortillas. Okay, so we're just going to peel that off again. Put that on there. It might need a little bit more oil actually. Oh, it's starting to puff up.
So what heat level would you say that you have it at for it to work?
I think the best heat level is probably medium high.
Okay.
Okay, so here I can see the edges got a little thin. And if you use a rolling pin to roll it out, the edges tend to get quite thin, and that is not a good thing because then they'll tend to tear. So I'm just going to press those together a little bit more. So when you're rocking your pie pan, just try to do it evenly and not press down the edges too much.
I was just trying to make it 6 inches.
Yes, I know. So that is one of the hazards of, of doing it, more than a little. So you want to put that on there?
Yep.
Now I'm just going to put a little bit more oil on that. Put that down on there carefully. Good. I think the consistency is good, right?
Yeah.
It's easy. So if you're ready for yours, you can put yours on again. It's got a little bit of browning, which I like. We're gonna leave this for another minute or so. Okay. Okay, so tell me when you think it's 10 seconds.
Now.
Okay, it's already starting to puff. Let's just leave it then, because it's doing that great puffing thing. So we're gonna leave that, and you can flip that when it gets a little bit more cooked.
Okay.
Do you want to take that one off?
Sure.
Just drop it right in there. And that one got a little bit of browning on that, so that's perfect. All right.
I do that like curling. Does that mean we should hold it?
I think that the color, see how that's pale yellow and this is darker yellow?
Mm-hmm.
So you could flip that. Ooh, it looks good. It smells good too. It smells toasty, right? All right, so we're almost ready for the taste test. So you can save these and use them again. Let's do a little tasting here. I'm gonna take the ones from the bottom that have steamed for a little while. And there you go. We're just gonna put a little butter on there. All right, so we're gonna put a little salt on there. Because salt and fat are really tasty. All right, give it a try. You can roll it up if you want.
Yeah, I'll try.
Or whatever you wanna do.
It's a lot of butter.
It's a lot of butter. That's what makes it good.
I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
You give it a 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Okay. Definitely recommend these as a fun, not only a fun thing to do, but they just taste better than regular tortillas. When you make a taco, it actually has a nice corn flavor, not a cardboardy flavor. The other thing is, if you just have this dry masa harina, you can make them anytime you want. It takes very little time if you start them right when you're starting dinner. By the time you've got your fillings prepared, probably a half an hour has gone by. You just cook them right up, and then you've got hot tortillas for your dinner. Yeah. But the other thing is, you mix up the dough of just the masa harina, salt, and water, hot water, and you can form them into balls. You can cook off what you want for dinner or snack or whatever. My grandkids just ate them for snacks. And, but then you can take the dough balls and wrap them in plastic wrap and put them in a baggie and put them in your refrigerator. And then you can cook them up fresh the next day. So they'll hold for I read 1 to 3 days. So that's it for today. Thank you, dear. And thank you, my darling Katie, my daughter, for filming us, and happy cooking.